I'm here to help women reset and rewild, to embrace and prioritize the pauses in order to reclaim their peace and power. I'm Dr. Michelle Peris, director of the Poppy Clinic and founder and CEO of the Wild Collective. As a disruptor, naturopathic doctor, wife, and mama, I've created a global movement and sacred space for women to rise together. Here, you'll break through limitations, romanticize your life, and unlock the magic of your divine feminine power. My life's work is rooted in community, lifting women into their most powerful, authentic selves, while empowering clinicians to elevate their practices with a transformational, community-driven model. I lead a thriving, passion-fueled business and naturopathic practice brimming with abundance, where I can guide women to invigorate their lives through sisterhood and elevate healthcare with a cutting-edge transformational approach. I've witnessed firsthand in my practice how this model sparks consistent health transformation, creates flourishing communities, and brings profitable success. You can have it all, a life filled with abundance, contagious joy, and untethered potential. So pull up a seat. It's time to pour into yourself and tap into your intuition and design a life that's wild, free, and uniquely yours. And I'm going to show you how. This is Wild Medicine. All right, welcome back to another episode of Wild Medicine. I am your host, Dr. Michelle Peris, and I've been away for a few weeks. I'm very sorry. I've been a rule follower for a really long time. And when I started my podcast, there were rules, and the rules were that you posted every week, no matter what. Like whatever you decided was the expectation of your podcast, you posted no matter what. And then I think I'm 6 years into this, between 5 and 6 years into podcasting. And I just don't want to care about rules anymore. Okay, whoa. I honor a lot of rules. I don't want to care about this rule anymore. I would way rather post and put out podcasts when I feel inspired versus feeling forced to put stuff out. So this is me just explaining why I've been missing for 2 weeks. So if you felt it, thank you so much for even noticing. And you probably didn't, but if you did, thank you for noticing. I want to welcome some new followers and listeners because they've been reaching out on social, and that's just so wonderful. I'm so grateful. I will do my best to be consistent. I just don't want to be held to any rules that prevent me from giving you my best. I'd way rather hit record when it makes sense, when I have something to say, versus feeling like I have to because it'll mess with some kind of algorithm or anything. You know, I'm over it. That's almost 44-year-old Michelle speaking, and I'm not playing. Anyways, this week's episode is all about the messy middle. And I've been talking about this concept a lot in every community that I've been in on my Instagram over at Dr. Michelle Peris, because I really care that we understand the assignment, if you will. And there's really 2 stories I have to share with this, because storytelling is how I teach, and hopefully that's a useful way for you to learn. And there's like a very intentional share with the type of work that I do in a metabolic reset and a shed and a fat loss program. And that, there are lots of messy middles there, but then there's also like my personal life and everything that I'm going through, and a very distinct messy middle. And I want to share both, because wherever you land with this information, what I want to do is normalize the messy middle and help you honor and sit with instead of quitting, because a messy middle feels not good. So before I get too far ahead, let's talk through this part. Whatever journey you're on, you've started, and there might be some initial momentum or success or excitement or all the things, and you'll meet a moment where things feel harder, messier, and more emotional than you expected. And we can make a whole lot of meaning out of this. We can make a whole story about it, and it really does get us uncomfortable. And the way our brain is designed is to seek comfort and safety. So when you're stretching yourself on a journey, whether it's health or otherwise, you're going to meet parts of this along the way that are supposed to be there. A lot of people out there don't end up accomplishing what they say they desire is simply due to the fact that once they meet this messy middle part of themselves or part of their journey, they quit. because they make a lot of meaning out of this. And so wherever you're at on your journey, health or life, I just want to meet you in the in-between here and help create a level of understanding and hopefully then safety that it is okay to shed what no longer serves you, to start to step into who you are becoming. This is the beautiful analogy of the caterpillar to butterfly. This is the chrysalis. And I imagine if I were a caterpillar, that phase would be mighty uncomfortable. It might be darn terrifying. What is this enveloping me into some kind of hibernation mode? Like, that must be wild. I mean, not that they're consciously thinking about it, but if they had a prefrontal cortex or a limbic brain to allow them to feel fear, I imagine that might be a really scary moment, right? So how can you truly trust that the best is yet to come, that you're about to transform into the butterfly? But first, you must get into the chrysalis must happen. It has to be there. The messy middle has to be there. So let's define this in not chrysalis terms, right? This is when the initial excitement fades. You make a decision. You want to shed the fat, or you want to build the business, or take the leap of faith and quit the job that's no longer serving you, or really put yourself out there to find the relationship that you desire, whatever it may be. There's this initial excitement of like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. What could be? And then some little feelings creep in, right? And before we see the results of the efforts, we have to befriend and reconcile all the things that are going to get kicked up. I always say this, and I learned this, but what got you here won't get you there, right? So if you keep doing the same things you've always done, you're going to get the same results. So if you are looking to grow, to expand, and I think it's our soul's calling to always be on a growth trajectory, then this messy middle is something you're going to meet often in various ways, in various aspects of your life. This can look like self-doubt, resistance, regression into old habits, emotional overwhelm. It can look like symptoms kicking up. For a lot of people, they'll even notice as they're on like an expansion moment, they're in expansion season, they could get sick. They could, there's like life happening and it's really dramatic, and it's so easy for us to default or regress into old patterns and thinking and say, I must be doing something wrong. I must not be destined to do this thing. We weave a web, and next week's episode is all on why we need community, but this is fundamentally why this is the most important thing. And this is why I run the Wild Collective. And this is why I have community as a part of my metabolic reset program, because I know the temptation to quit. And I know that the antidote is connection and community and accountability. 100%. I will die on that hill. What a hill to die on. But like, it's true. Okay. It's so instrumental, because if we don't have connection and belongingness, you're going to quit. 100%. The messy middle is too messy. And so it is really, really important that you understand, one is it's supposed to be there. It's supposed to feel that way. And you need to double down on the things that are going to help you overcome. And when we do those things, we get to see the results. But most people, and this is true in health, and this is true in business, this is true in life. I don't want to say most, but a lot of people will quit. A lot of people will make meaning out of things instead of reaching out for the resources that would help them transform beyond. If you didn't have the skill set to already get you to where you're going, if you did, you'd already be there, then you must realize that we need to shed what no longer serves us. This is, truly why a reset program was transformative for me. It wasn't the only thing. I didn't just do a reset and then go back to my life as it was. That is insane thinking. But it was the pause that allowed me the calibration and the quiet to get really real about what needed to be shed and what really needed to be done. Healthier communication, better boundary setting, honoring of rest, prioritizing of doing things that I knew would be of service of my growth in order to then step into the next version. It was step one of however many years I'm bestowed, but it needed to happen. Like that moment of pause was transformative for me and for a lot of my patients too. It's the beginning. It is just the beginning. And likely because it's like this safe little bubble where everything is designed for you. You meet the messy middle after, where you're like, oh my gosh, can I do this on my own? Oh my gosh, am I worthy of this? Oh my goodness, can I trust myself to keep my word to myself? I think our health comes down to, our level of health and capacity for healing comes down to two factors: self-trust and self-worth. I really believe that. If we have a high enough level of self-trust to keep our word to ourselves, then we are likely to keep going, even when days are not so ideal. And the second is self-worth. How much do you like yourself and feel you are worthy of reclaiming the health, the energy, the vibrancy, the beauty, the achievements that you are accomplishing? And those two things will dictate a lot of how you move through the world, and definitely predict your results. So for me, that's obvious in a metabolic reset program. The other thing I'm in a messy middle. Are you feeling burnt out and exhausted? See you in someone who has recovered from a few burnouts herself. And through sitting in circles with women over the last 8 years, I have some perspectives as to what personality traits and habits and thinking traps perpetuate and put us at higher risk of developing and ending up in burnout. So if you want to find out your burnout archetype quiz, are you a CEO? Are you a saboteur, a martyr, a rescuer, or a zombie? Then head over to the show notes, click the free quiz, and find out what might be getting in your way. Also, learn strategies and things to consider to help you reclaim your energy and recover from burnout so that you can be blissed out in the world and doing things that make you happy. Enjoy. Personally, my son is about to be 14 next week. And since November, pretty much, when they had a parents' night in preparation for high school, I have been a weepy mess. And while women have been listening to me talk about this for months, I've not been shy. I find this phase really, really hard. I will tell you that attachment parenting, pure attachment, holding on to your kids, innately raising your children in a very connected way did not come hard to me. That was very, very natural. The letting go and wanting to honor the fact that he does need to mature and step into his highest version of himself and to test boundaries and let go and have more independence and make mistakes and become the man that we desire him to become. You have to let go. And no one prepared me for how heart-shattering that part was. I am not coping well. I am really in the messy middle of wanting to hold on and knowing I need to let go. So you can take this information in health and in life and leverage it to propel you forward. And I've really started thinking, I think the November parents' night is not for the children. It's for the parents. I want to be able to be genuinely excited for my son come June when he graduates. And I don't think I would have been able to had I not been grieving since November. Right? Now I'm like really getting behind this, like what I need to do to help him thrive. I knew what I needed to do when he was young, and not all of it came natural. Becoming a mom was really weird for me. It was very, very odd in the beginning. It's like, who's trusting me with this little one? I still felt, 13 or 16, entirely too immature, even though I was about 30, just about to turn 30 when he was born. So it's interesting. But I'm in the messy middle. There are many messy middles, right? And so my propensity would maybe, if I wasn't challenging myself and holding myself to a higher expansive standard, would be to grip more, helicopter more, right? So just like in weight loss, in fat loss, in a shed, people might hold on to their old habit, like default, like they might want to grip, like they let fear kind of overtake the response or their behavior, overtake their reactions. And we need to catch ourselves in these moments and say, okay, what's actually going on here? Is what I'm doing actually bad and wrong? Or is it possible that I have stepped into the chrysalis and I have to reconcile what's actually going on here? I think this is a really important thought because it armors us and prepares us and allows us to step into the most beautiful version of ourselves, right? Success truly as a mom is raising wonderful, awesome humans, ones that you can trust in the world, knowing that you've done everything that you can and will continue to do, There's now a necessary untethering. And in health, there's a necessary untethering from the old version, the old habits, the old self-betrayal, the old lack of boundaries, the old running out of time and not, doing the things you say you want to do to reclaim health. This is where the rubber meets the road, as they say. This is the moment. Either you go back and default, or you normalize that this is exactly what's supposed to happen. You're in the chrysalis and you're about to step into the most beautiful version. Lobsters, I've been told, have to outgrow their shell and grow into the next version. I imagine that's uncomfortable, I would think. It's the same thing. No matter where you find yourself, like I am uncomfortable. My son and I currently are the same height, the same size. Like it's wild to me. He was this little tiny thing that I loved the like codependence. And now he's this human. He's this grown man becoming a man. He's not a man, but who's the same size as me, right? So like there is this have to let go in a way that feels safe to both of us, but it is the invitation to expand, to break through, to go beyond, to not want to have my stuff be imprinted on him, my need to grieve, to make him feel bad, like what he's doing, being so excited about this new level of independence and evolution. I don't want to affect that, right? I'm thankful that the high school, I think they did it for the parents. I'm being serious. I'm thankful that they've given me from November to feel this, so that come next month, I will be so excited that he's graduating for him, because it is exciting. Right? This is a very necessary phase. It's not the setback. It's the integration. It's the time when you give yourself the pause. This is what I love about a reset. This is what I love about a wild circle, is that when we train and we do the reps of pausing, we get good at pausing, we can get really clear and contemplative of what's actually going on. We can hear ourselves think. We can hear like divine source speaking to us and know what to do with that information, right? If we don't create this reset, this pause, this very powerful pause, we will just keep hamster wheeling and patterning out. And you're missing the beauty of your life. And that sometimes beauty comes painfully, right? Your nervous system needs time to calibrate. I think this is why Wild Collective works so well. One is it creates a safe environment for us to learn together in communion and storytell and, expand and evolve. But it also creates, one woman described it as an anchor. It's like my favorite thing to be said about Wild Collective, but like this beautiful anchor of like every month I come and I get like this moment of integration. Here's what's coming up with me. Here's what we're learning right now. Here's what I want to share. Here's how we learn discernment. And then I take that growing wisdom and I go out into the world and I do powerful things. This is why the women get the results that they desire in Wild Collective, and why largely they are successful men and women in Shed. Is that there is like this integration that gets to happen in community that is so powerful, that helps us not make too much meaning of the messy middle to the point where we quit, but we actually say, aha, you're supposed to be here. I now need this chrysalis pause moment to discern what no longer serves me, what I need to let go of, and what things I'm being nudged to do to become the most expanded version of myself. For a lot of women, it's like better time management. It's more rest. It's more reprieve. It's healthier boundary setting. It's learning to say no and not feel guilty. It's learning to make themselves a priority. There's so many beautiful things. But unless we have this like chrysalis moment, this honoring of this necessary phase of the messy middle, we might miss it. And we might pattern out and default back into the old way of doing things. Or we might like try and white knuckle our way through, and neither are recommended, by the way, right? It takes time to change. And there is a real biology of things that are happening. You're making new neural pathways. You're learning to sit and create safety when your nervous system is getting flooded, right? So we need time and we need each other. I'm going to be very bold and say, like, if you are not in a community of some kind being supported during your transformation, you are missing out on the power of that, and you're likely to quit. We need each other. This work is too difficult to go it alone. And it all feels hard because you're becoming someone new. And that is unfamiliar. I'm becoming a trusting mother. I shed what no longer served me, and I had to make a lot of changes. I had to change my work schedule. I had to batch prep my protein. I had to keep my word to myself and move my body every day. There were so many changes that probably prepared me for the heartbreak of this moment. And now I'm becoming someone new, someone who is letting go and untethering a little bit more from her child and watching him step into his expanded version of himself, right? And that's what's really cool is like we can take these health lessons and carry them forward into other aspects of our life. This is the beauty of building a beautiful life, is that all of these lessons are not wasted. What you learn in the healthcare space or in a wild circle, in work, you get to carry forward in life, in your partnerships, in your relationships. It's like this beautiful universal conversation and life lesson that is constantly going on. What most do in this messy moment is quit. We make a whole story about how it's bad and wrong. It feels foreign, so it must not be safe. And we go back to what we know. And this is why the zombie archetype, the numb archetype woman, winds up in Wild Collective because they've achieved all the things. They have all the gold stars. They've done all the things. And they're like, is this it? Like, because we're not expanding. We're not letting ourselves fully feel. We just keep doing. And a lot of it is needing to sit in the discomfort and see things differently. That's the beautiful thing about women in the Wild Collective is they don't quit. They're like, I feel like I'm being called for more here. But they sense what everybody senses, which is like, why doesn't this feel very good? I thought it was all supposed to be more meaningful, right? They're being called to expand to their next evolved part of themselves, whether that's a more connected partner or mother or a leader or to shift professions or whatever. They're being called for more and they're listening to the whispers and it's uncomfortable. They don't quit. Most of us think when it's uncomfortable that something isn't working. We really need to normalize that is exactly what it's supposed to feel like. That is part of the process. And when we stop assigning meaning to it, we get to actually move through. We get to alchemize that. We can default to old patterns, the perfectionism, the people pleasing, the numbing. Oh, it's great that this works for them. It's probably not going to work for me. All the things that we do, because heaven forbid you fail your way forward. And it's a bit messy, right? We're so afraid. But if you read, and I know we all know, but like the regrets of the dying, it's not that they, work too hard. They regret not actually letting themselves live, like truly live. Right? And this is 100% why the Wild Collective exists, because I felt frustrated for my patients in certain moments where I was like, I want more for them. And the way we're doing it doesn't seem to be working. There has to be something missing. And I'm going to say community and a lack of support and a real need to start sitting with and honoring self-worth and self-trust were essential for transformation, all of which can be reestablished in something like the Wild Collective. I'm so grateful for that.
This episode is brought to you by the Wild Collective. If you are ready for something innovative, something truly transformational, you are wanting to build a beautiful life and thriving health and vibrant energy, and you're not sure how to build that in, you might want to consider something as incredible as the Wild Collective. The Wild Collective is our women's health initiative. It is a closed community of like-minded individuals. It is where sisterhood meets self-care. There's 10 modules of fundamental women's health, all the evidence-based information that you need, the testing, the handouts, the assessment, how to advocate for yourself in the wellness space. Also, what natural and integrative approaches you can consider for any age and stage in life. And being that it is part of a community, you also get this beautiful experience of meaningful connection, conversations that matter, and truly up-leveling your life. So if you are ready to take on something totally transformative and fun, then please go check us out at the Wild Collective. So that's the-wild-collective.com. Get on the wait list and we will see you in one of our wild circles very soon.
So if you are hearing what I'm saying, and this is all landing very well, then how do we move through this? How do we start to reconcile and recognize when we're in the messy middle and start to normalize and not run the second we feel it? One of my favorite things that Michael Singer says in Untethered Soul, just like when you quit smoking, if you ever did, no judgment. I smoked in 16 too. I'm very embarrassed about that. But anyways, I just always wanted to be included. I wanted to be with the cool kids. That's what they did. So I did it too. So lame. Anyways, you stop. When you catch yourself thought spiraling or following a story, you go, stop. And you can say it out loud. Stop. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not participating in that narrative. Stop. That's one of my favorite, most powerful things because it's just so simple. And it lands for me because when I was 21 and decided to quit smoking, I just stopped and I never smoked again. It just stopped. Stop. Right? So really understanding what's at play, what you're holding yourself back from, that there isn't something scary, that this is exactly how it's supposed to feel. And so when those feelings get kicked up, you're just like, stop, I'm not doing this. Now, if you want to enhance your bravery, you're going to need support. You're going to need accountability. You're going to need, for the women listening, sisterhood. We're going to need divine connection. Okay. And I am ruthlessly unapologetic, and I will speak to my love of the Wild Collective next week because that's the standard I hold it. Those women knock my socks off every week. Every week I'm like, do I still love this? Does this still land the same way for me as it did? It absolutely does. I sit in a circle for 2 hours and I'm like, I love this work. I love these women. These women are so tenacious and brave and willing to do something different. And it's really inspiring, beautiful to witness. And I love every minute of it. We need to give ourselves the pause to reflect. We need moments of quiet and understand what's happening here. And as we untether and start to see that these things happen irrespective of whether or not it's real, that's the flex. That's when you're like, okay, this work is really working for me. We need reminders. There's 2 ways. You need to remind yourself of the why, where you're going, right? So if it's health related, like, no, I wanted to shed the fat. It was no longer serving me. My joints hurt. I felt brain fog. Had no motivation to exercise. You're going to have to remember your why. And you need to look for proof of things working out in the past. I was in a wild circle recently and reminded the women of this, is that when we go and do an inventory of our life and we look at all those moments where divine unfolding was happening, even though in the moment you're like, why is this happening? This doesn't make sense. This is so painful, the messy middle. And then everything unfolds better than you could have possibly thought. You need that proof. You need to remember your why, and you need to reflect back on other moments where it blew your mind. When you got out of the way, life unfolded in the most beautiful way. Like when you actually, did the things that were required. And sometimes that is just showing up to your day. Everything already was divinely working out better than you could have possibly thought. And that's really, really powerful. And sometimes we need to be graceful. I was saying this to someone today. Remember to be graceful with yourself, because when you're in the messy middle, it feels very, very heightened. It feels very destabilizing. It feels very, very vulnerable. And so taking gentle action, right? A little bit of forward momentum. Like my coach says, on Friday, we do Friday things, right? Or Tuesday, we do Tuesday things. And each time we do that and we show up and we do the things, everything unfolds beautifully. We stop making meaning out of all the things and the chaos and the stress and the feelings, and we just take action. We just take the next sensible step. Now, I feel called to tell you this. If this speaks to you and you are looking for that community, I would love for you to consider the Wild Collective. I would love for you to get on our list, to get on the wait list, to consider joining us in the fall. We open up once a year to welcome in 3 groups in person, trying to figure out what I want to do otherwise for other women in the world so that you can really start to leverage sisterhood and accountability and support as the secret sauce to your success, because it's definitely necessary. There is no glow up without grit. No transformation without tension. And that's the seed I want to plant today. You're not stuck. You're not in pain, or it's not a sign of it's not working. You're on the edge of your breakthrough. So if you're in the messy middle, just know that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Honor and sit with. Sometimes I just let myself cry with my evolution of my own relationship with my son. And if you're needing a little support, know that my DMs are always open. You're always welcome to connect with me and chat through all of it. Wishing you a very beautiful day and week. Thank you for your patience on not doing a podcast for 2 weeks. Thank you for your understanding. And I hope to always bring you quality conversations and thought-provoking topics to keep you in the pulse and the beauty of your life so that you can honor the messy middle and truly step into your most expanded version of yourself. Stay wild. Thank you so much for tuning in to Wild Medicine. I am so grateful to have you here, and I hope you're feeling inspired and empowered. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating. It helps us reach more incredible women just like you. And before you go, quick reminder, the information shared on this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat any medical condition. Please consult with your healthcare provider for personalized advice and care. And if you're ready to take inspired action and dive deeper into your own health journey, please visit us at poppyclinic.com. Let's rewild and reset your health together.